I never imagined I'd be the guy at the heart of a neighborhood showdown. But there I was, leaning against my balcony railing, watching a tow truck's red lights flash as it hauled away a sleek black Mercedes SUV. The owner, Cynthia Reynolds, our HOA VYC president, was losing it. She stormed across the parking lot of our condo complex, her designer heels clicking furiously, her expensive purse swinging like a weapon as she yelled at the tow truck driver. "You can't do this. Do you know who I am?" she screamed, her voice echoing off the buildings. Then her eyes locked onto me, and her rage found a new target. "You!" she shrieked, jabbing a manicured finger in my direction. "You did this. You called them." Her face was twisted with fury, and I could see curtains twitching as neighbors peeked out to catch the drama. I stayed calm, sipping my coffee, letting the scene play out. Cynthia was now on her phone, her voice shrill as she demanded Samionianiana fix this. Within minutes, a police cruiser rolled into the lot. Oh boy, this was about to get wild. I've lived in Willow Creek condominiums for 3 years. It's a nice place, manicured lawns, clean walkways, and reasonable fees. Every unit comes with one assigned parking spot, marked with your unit number in bright yellow paint. Mine's number 17, right by the stairwell to my second-floor condo. In a complex where parking is a hot commodity, I lucked out with that spot. Cynthia Reynolds moved in about a year ago and wasted no time climbing the HOA ladder. By month 3, she was VYC president, strutting around with a clipboard, her dark hair perfectly styled, her lips always pursed in disapproval. She was the queen of rules. Forgot to trim a stray weed in your garden? Cynthia's note was on your door. Left a package outside for a few hours? Cynthia documented it. Parked a smidge over the line in the guest lot? Cynthia had your car towed. Rules keep us CIVY list, she'd say at HOA meetings, her tone dripping with superiority. So, you can imagine my disbelief when I found her car and saw my soft spot. It was around 7 p.m. after a brutal day at work. I pulled into the complex, ready to crash, only to see a black Mercedes parked smack in my spot number 17, clear as day. I circled the lot twice, but every guest spot was taken, and the other resident spaces were either occupied or marked for someone else. I knew that car. The vanity plate, Lady Law, was a dead giveaway. Cynthia, the rule enforcer, had broken her own code. I parked in the fire lane for a second and headed to her first-floor unit, determined to keep things CIVYL. When I knocked, she answered in a silk blouse and pearl earrings, looking like she was hosting gala, not a Tuesday night at home. "Cynthia," I said politely, "your car's in my parking spot. Could you move it? I need to park." She stared at me like I'd asked her to mop the lobby floor. "I'm hosting my wine club tonight," she said, while VYing a hand. "The guest spots are full, so I borrowed yours. It's just for a few hours." I blinked, trying to process her logic. "I get it, but it's my spot, and I need to park too," I said, keeping my tone even. She crossed her arms. "I'm on the HOA board, James. Park on the street." Then she shut the door in my face. I stood there, stunned. Street parking was 2 blocks away, required a permit I didn't have, and came with a guaranteed ticket. Plus, why should I hike when I pay for my spot? I knocked again, harder this time. She yanked the door open, her eyes blazing. "What now?" she snapped. "Cynthia," I said, still calm, "the HOA rules you love so much say unauthorized cars and assigned spots can be towed at the owner's expense. I'd rather not go there, but I need my spot." Her face tightened. "Are you threatening, Sami? Do you know who I am?" I sighed. "I'm not threatening you. I'm asking you to follow your own rules." She scoffed. "I'll move it when my guests leave. Now leave, or I'll report you for harassment." The door slammed again. I walked back to my car, still in the fire lane, and weighed my options. Park on the street and eat a ticket, or follow the HOA's protocol. I pulled out my phone and dialed the towing company listed on the complex's entrance sign. "Quick tow. How can I help?" a gruff voice answered. I explained the situation, gave them my unit number and name, and they said they'd be there in 10 minutes. Sure enough, a tow truck rumbled in, and I showed the driver my ID and leased approved spot 17 was mine. He hooked up Cynthia's Mercedes, and I finally parked where I belonged. As I headed upstairs, I braced for the fallout. It came faster than I expected. Half an hour later, my door shook with furious pounding. I opened it to find Cynthia, her face red, her wine club friends trailing behind her like awkward spectators. "You had my car towed?" she screamed, loud enough to wake the dead. "Do you know how much this will cost me?" I leaned against the doorframe. "I asked you to move it, Cynthia. You refused." I followed HOA rules. She stepped closer, her voice shaking with rage. "I saw the HOA. You had no right." Neighbors' doors cracked open, eyes peeking out at the commotion. "Actually," I said, "the bylaws you quote all the time say I have every right. Your car was in my spot without permission." Her eyes narrowed. "You'll regret this," she hissed, pulling out her phone. "I'm calling the police. You stole my car." I shrugged. Towing an unauthorized vehicle isn't theft, but go ahead. She did, dramatically telling the dispatcher I'd stolen her car and was harassing her. Her wine club friends shifted uncomfortably, probably wishing they'd stayed home. When Officers Daniels and Lopez arrived, Cynthia launched into a performance, painting herself as the VY Tim of a vengeful neighbor who hated her HOA power. "He's been mad since I cited him for a tacky Christmas wreath last year," she lied, her voice dripping with fake tears. I stayed cool as Officer Daniels turned to me. "Your side, sir." I kept it simple. She parked in my spot. I asked her to move. She refused, so I called the tow company. Then I pointed to the security camera on the lamppost. "The lot's got cameras. Let's check the footage." Cynthia's smirk faltered just for a second. That's when I knew this wasn't just about parking. We headed to the complex office, where the property manager, Mr. Thompson, pulled up the footage. The video was crystal clear, me pulling in, finding my spot taken, parking in the fire lane, knocking on Cynthia's door. No audio, but you could see her open the door, talk briefly, then slam it. I knocked again, another short exchange, another slam. "That proves nothing." Cynthia snapped. He was aggressive. I felt threatened. Mr. Thompson kept the tape rolling. It showed me calling the tow company, the truck REVYing, and Cynthia's car being hauled away. Then came the kicker. After the tow, Cynthia stormed out, saw her car gone, and headed toward my building. But before she went inside, she stopped by my car now in my spot, pulled something from her purse, and dragged it along my driver's side door. Leah VYing deep, deliberate scratches. The room went dead silent. Cynthia's face turned white. "Ms. Reynolds," Officer Daniel said, his voice low, "did you just vandalize this man's car?" She stammered. "The angle's misleading. That's not what happened." Officer Lopez was already on his radio, calling for a unit to check my car. Minutes later, they confirmed it. Fresh scratches from headlight to taillight, damage that wasn't there when I parked. "Ms. Reynolds," Daniel said, pulling out his cuffs, "you're under arrest for vandalism and filing a false police report." Cynthia's jaw dropped. "This is absurd," she shrieked as Lopez read her rights. "I keep this place running. I enforce the rules." Daniels didn't blink. "And now you're breaking them." They led her to the cruiser, her wine club friends staring in shock, neighbors gawking from their balconies. The HOA queen had fallen. The next week was chaos. Cynthia was charged with criminal mischief for the due la $2,500 in car damage and filing a false report. She faced up to a year in jail and due la $5,000 in fines. The HOA board held an emergency meeting and booted her unanimously. Her insurance covered my car, but her premiums shot through the roof. When she finally slunk back to the complex, she was a shadow of her former self-no clipboard. No strut, just a quick shuffle to her condo, eyes glued to the ground. One day, she glanced up and saw me on my balcony. Her face flashed with shame and anger, but she didn't say a word. What could she say? The rules she'd weaponized had turned on her, and the consequences hit harder than any HOA fine. So what do you think? Was I wrong to call the tow truck, or did Cynthia get what she deserved? Should I have let it slide since it was just one night? And what about her vandalism? Was it a heat-of-the-moment mistake or a calculated act of revenge? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're team justice, and subscribe for more crazy neighbor stories. Let's get this debate going.